Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. So welcome on my talk about. Oh, too loud. Sorry. That one is working. So should I turn it on?
It's muted from here. It's muted from right now.
Okay. So, hello everybody. Welcome to my talk about how to make your boot faster. It is supposed to be very fast talk, because initially I wanted to join it with systemd talk, which wasn't possible because my talk was scheduled after Frederick's great talk about systemd. So let's start. The first thing is motivation. We would like to know why we should, or why we want to spend our time to making our boot slow. The second thing, second part, I called it Hitchhiker's Guide to systemd, but I don't know if that will be interested for you, because initially I wanted to have it as a nice introduction for the next talk of Frederick, and it's after, so it's shame. Next part is tool and strategies. Then I will talk about what I did to make my boot, my small laptop boot faster, and question and answers as usual on the end. But if you have some question, don't hesitate and ask me when it's possible. So the motivation is very important. Okay, is the most important question is why we would like to spend our time on something. I don't know how often you boot your laptop or desktops, but I don't do it very often. But that's not the case of my netbook, which is very small. I don't have any suspend or stuff like that, and I usually boot it from beginning, and especially my son really likes to push the biggest button on the keyboard, and it's usually the power button. So it's better if it can boot really fast. That was my motivation. But there are some other things, like we are people, so we are human beings. We really like to compare every number. So especially men know that every man has some numbers, like intelligence, for instance, and higher is better or smaller is better. It depends on the number. It can enhance your user experience. As I said, my example, when my son turned my netbook as he's watching some movies for kids, and he's very nervous when it takes several seconds to just boot up. So it really enhances your user experience or your parent experience. And well, can save your resources. It's not that true, but well, if you start less things, that you can save some megabytes of memory, but it's not that necessary. And the main reason, it's really funny, and well, it's motto of our distribution. So let's continue. So that's Hitchhiker's Guide to systemd, and I don't know if you are interested in this topic or not. If you are not, we can skip it and continue with the tools and strategies. That's up to you. Let's not. Okay. So the first thing is that systemd will not speed your boot. That's a very big surprise. I heard it several times that, hey, I changed my init to systemd and nothing happened. In the best case, nothing happened. In the worst case, you are not able to boot because some bug. But usually your boot is not faster. That's the point. On the other hand, systemd has some nice features which can help you with making boot faster, and that's the reason why I choose systemd, and all my examples will be systemd related. So if you are not using it, you should convert yourself to systemd, or let's say this talk won't be so useful for you. So, because systemd is very new thing, it's the biggest question is what will change, and the question, at least in OpenSUSE, is basically nothing. All of you which attended Frederick's talk knows that OpenSUSE or Frederick or the rest of people spent a lot of time on integration, so to make the transition as smooth as possible, which is not that easy, but basically if you want to start service, no difference. If you want it shut down or reboot your computer, no difference. It's done by /dev/initctl via normal programs. If you want to enable or disable service, I think check config still works as usual. But yeah, there are some differences because there's no reason why to replace one system with another which is the same. So systemd starts services in a different context. That means your variable, your environment is clearly defined. You don't need to delete them from your services. You know that your services start as directly from PAD1, which is something what you don't get with traditional system. It has some feature that by default it starts every service in parallel. It doesn't wait on dependencies, and that can help you a bit with making faster boot, but it's not that the case. And yeah, it prefers its own syntax and implements on-demand start. I will talk about them later. Use C groups and export a lot of features to system administrators. So I think that one is not that necessary from point of fast boot, but that's the biggest difference you can mention between traditional init system and systemd. In systemd, you see that daemon is started as a subprocess of PAD1 in every case. It's not the case of the traditional system because your daemon is started in the context of your shell session by default. So and it has to do a lot of things to escape from it and move itself to PAD1 parent. So you don't need to do any demonization, you don't need to do any environment cleaning or stuff like that. Systemd will take care. So are there any questions? I think that topic wasn't so important for our talk, so we can move. So making your boot faster is a kind of optimization. So what everyone knows about optimization is that the premature optimization is the root of evil. So you should have your system working and then try to start to make it running better. But you should know what to do and not try to do some random things on your system that can be dangerous. But systemd has a nice command. It's called systemd analyze. I think it's not in the main package, so you have to install it. But it can show you how much time your system spent in a boot. And those numbers are from the default 12.2 installation on my Asus ePC laptop. So it's 40 seconds from when BIOS or Grubstar asked to load kernel to the end of when the last service was done. So it's
graphical or just to
yeah, graphical boot. So it's when let's say XDM appears or something like that. So it's normal installation. I didn't change something. It's just next and install it. So you can see system has to spend some seconds in kernel, several more seconds in user space. But those numbers won't help you in analyzing because those are only sums. So there's X command called blame, and you can see a list of the most time-consuming services. There's one thing about interpreting of those numbers is that systemd tends to start things in parallel. So it can happen that you have some really turbo-blamed service which took long, but it don't delay your boot because it started in parallel and nothing depends on it. So it's really important to know the dependency chain. But that's not a case of network because traditionally a lot of things are started when network is initialized. So in that case, network service was the problem. This is the next tool. It's from systemd analyze subcommand plot, and that plots this nice graph. I tried to open it in some better program. If that work, no. Okay. So sorry for the graph, but the point is, you can see the 8 seconds of kernel, and the rest is the user space. So it's a diagram of system's boot, and you can see even dependencies. So it's obvious that this is something I cannot read, but all those things can start after this service stops to be active. The red means this service is still loading and it's not yet done. So this plot will help you to analyzing the dependencies. So it's better to know which things delays your boot a lot. Yeah, I have a better chart. So you can see 8 seconds when user space start to boot. You have things like SUSE firewall, which I disabled because I don't need it on my laptop, which is mostly offline. So how can anyone crack it? And things like network service, or we already did. So to make our boot faster, we have few things we can do. As I said, systemd start things in parallel, and that can help you, but it's not the case. I already, when I was debugging my system, I realized that, for instance, if you try to start 15 processes of /bin/mount, you can get another delay because of utilizing of your EO, your scheduler and stuff like that. So it can help, but if you try to run a lot of things in parallel, you can be a little bit slower than you will expect. So I think the key point is start less think. And well, it's so obvious that anyone can think, hey, how I should make a talk about which will say you, okay, just start less think, and that will make your boot faster. But that's true. You just have to realize what is important for you, for your use case, and what is not, and then try to turn things off. Because the system default is done to be useful for everyone, but you know your system better than distributors. So the key point is start less things than more. And what can help is start things as needed. It's some nice strategy, and systemd provides several ways of activation as needed. So, how to? The biggest or the most important command when you try to start less things is command mask. This is very nice, a nice feature of systemd. The mask means that systemd won't start this particular service under any circumstances. It means like there is nothing to do to start or activate this service. So if you don't need to start network service, you just type systemctl mask network service or network remote fs service or something from the list of blame command. And when you reboot, you can be sure that your system will boot faster. But there's a problem because sometimes or usually we want to have network. For laptops, I would say better is to use a network manager directly. So if you enable his own native service, you will get very similar result, but with you can see just those simple changes save 50% of my time. I don't know why. I didn't look closer to our network scripts, but what I heard, they will disappear sooner or faster. So there's no from my point of view, there's no reason to use them on laptops. So you can see disable things it has the biggest impact on your boot time. So we have things, we disable some things, but we can see some results which are not obvious, like why systemd console setup or systemd modules load takes 4 seconds or around 4 seconds to start. It should be done very faster. With old system we can use strace, and with systemd we can strace as well. So there is very easy way how to get our service debugged. I think the latest version of systemd has some profiling features built in, but that was done on old systemd version, and I would say strace will show you more than anyone else. So what is done, you just start your service you would like to investigate with normal strace, and then you just you will just have /run/ name of service .strace in your system, and then you will analyze it. So, but that of course depends how you are able to interpret a strace output. But you can see that the normal debugging is mostly the same what you should have with traditional init system. So the next very nice thing is to use native service units. And there's one advantage, because script means that you will have to exec bash, that it has to read, open and interpret script, and it usually open a lot of it will start a lot of commands, so you will need to run a lot of PIDs. And from command of blame, I show that it was obvious that the purge kernel service was very simple in its script. What it does, it checked existence of some particular file, I think /boot/do purge kernels. Okay, there's typo, but it's not so interesting. It only checks existence of one file, and then if that exists, it run one binary. And using normal shell script, you can see that it took on my system 3 to 7 milliseconds to just run this simple thing. If I replace it by native systemd unit, it wasn't even started, because what systemd done was to run one stat, and that was all. So it even didn't appear in a blame output, and this one is in OpenSUSE Factory. So the next biggest thing is the kernel time. As you can see, 8 seconds to just run kernel is a lot of time. And the first suspect was init.rd image. If you see when I called ls on /boot, I realized that my kernel image has 5 megabytes around, but my init.rd is 14 megabytes. And that looks very strange to me, because I would say init.rd should be small. Just you need some few modules and nothing more. But the problem is that using our mk init.rd, the reducing of init.rd size is hard, because you have, or I didn't found any configuration. All things which are installed in mk init.rd, their directory tends to be a part of the resulting init.rd image. I don't know if there are some ways. I didn't found anything what can help me in that case. But what I did, I tried to remove as much RPMs as I didn't need. And yeah, sorry. There are two particular packages which had really bad impact on the size of your init.rd image, and that's Splashy and Plimout. That's mostly half of it, so I think. Sorry?
Especially from those libraries.
Yeah. So if you want to have a fast boot, it's better to remove the fancy boot, and then you can make your boot really fast, because that's what I got. About 3 seconds comparing to 8.5 before, just by removing of few RPMs, and mostly Plimout and Splashy. Yeah, Splashy was the worst. So I would say my conclusion is it's not so funny that if you want to have a fancy boot, then you have a slow boot, because nowadays I cannot even see the any greeting message, because it tends to boot really fast. So this is the next strategy: start things as they are needed. This is really cool thing for my laptop, but it's not what I would like to have on my desktop, because I want my desktop will be online when it boots. But in case of my laptop, what I wanted to start Network Manager when the RF kill is on. So when there is the Wi-Fi is really enabled, and it really speed up my boot, because Network Manager needs several hundred milliseconds to start. What I did, I used the integration with systemd and UDEV, and I don't know how many of you are familiar with UDEV rules, but it's really simple. It's just, when something from subsystem net with name VLAN, action, it means when it appears. Then the service Network Manager and SSHD service will be started. And what is in fact, when I open my laptop and turn the Wi-Fi on, the Network Manager and SSHD service are started, and it starts to connect and going online. Sorry?
So it works because your Wi-Fi is disabled by default?
Yeah. In case if well, it can. I think it remember the last state. So if I reboot it with this switch on, Network Manager will appear, will be started during a boot. So it will be a bit slower. But I wanted to reach my 2 seconds goal, so I really try even quite crazy things. But I would say that's not so crazy. It's a normal way how you will in future will start things on some hardware related events. So it's not so crazy, it's not so usual, I would say, to do that. And it really depends on your use case. It makes sense for my laptop, it doesn't make sense for my desktop. And it doesn't make sense to have it as a distribution default. So, drag out. That's a very nice tool which will create init.rd as mk init.rd, but it's more configurable. It's you can read manual page, you can exclude everything, and Frederick point me on a host-only switch, and in that case you will get a very small, shiny init.rd, which includes module needed by your own machine, nothing more. So if you don't need network and NFS and grip setup or stuff like that, you will end with really tiny and small init.rd, which means you can boot really fast. Not 15 megabytes, but something really small. And yeah, it can print the time for kernel and init.rd separately because it has some integration with systemd. So my final time was around 3 seconds, so I didn't reach my goal, but I didn't want to build my own kernel, so I would say that's not so bad. At least if we know the numbers from the beginning. And I didn't do anything more than installing some packages, removing some of them, and do some configuration like in UDEF case. But yeah, it's hard to say how much we can improve OpenSUSE defaults for future. I think just removing the network init scripts and using network manager will help a lot. Maybe there are some other smaller things, but that depends. But you can see it's really not a rocket science, it's really easy. You just need to know names of one command of systemd and how to mask your service and how to remove RPM. So that's all. Yeah, that's the plot from the really fast boot. So you can see there's very notable difference from the beginning. And I would say I didn't disable anything which will be really needed for my laptop. I didn't even remove cron as far as I can see. So, are there any questions to that? Yeah. We need maybe microphone or not. This one? Yeah.
This all was with solid-state drive or with common hard disk?
Yeah, that was solid state drive. But I don't think that there is some big difference between. In general, there shouldn't be so. It's a really slow device. I think everyone's today's smartphone is much faster than my old laptop.
Thank you.
I saw that you recommend the switching off the CPU FREC service. Why is that? If you have a laptop, don't you need the CPU FREC service in order to save energy on the battery?
Yeah, about CPU FREC service, I think it shouldn't be needed today to rely on some user space thing for it. I think kernel should be capable to do it on its own. I think all you need is just to select the proper scheduler for your processes, and that's all. I don't think it's, but I didn't test it if there's some impact or not.
I don't even think the init script does anything but loading the scheduler. It just reads some sysconfig file and in case does something. It's not even a daemon something. I think this is just an init script that does some stupid stuff that is most likely even integrated into systemd already.
Yeah, it can be.
That's why we should get rid of sys5 init quickly, because, for example, this network or network manager stuff, Just already has logic to pick network manager on your laptop, but it will do this in writing some sysconfig file that then this network scripts pass to then disable themselves and start network manager. And this doesn't fit into the systemd world at all, but we made it even worse in writing a network service script, which then figures what file to pass to then start what service. So as soon as we can get rid of one of them, and this will be sys5 init now, we can make Just start the right or add the right service and disable network scripts right away. So the current situation just makes it worse for everyone. So that's why problematic. But for example, this postfix you disabled, this is some battle that's going on forever. I mean, we put a lot of energy into booting fast with sys5 init and even with disks, with rotating disks. But it's postfix is there just because cron might need some emails sometimes. And I made a suggestion forever, like ages ago, that postfix only started if someone put something in the mail queue, which is a defined moment, because you have to call a tool to put something in the mail queue, because you don't run postfix on port 25. So this is, you can patch this tool to then call systemd to start postfix, but this just isn't done. But everyone who's trying to boot fast on his machine just disables postfix instead. One of them patching the mail queue command or a send mail command to hook into systemd, and then everyone can boot fast. But this is the problem with these one-off efforts I have, because no one really benefits from them. Because even if you install 12.3, you will have to do it all again on your laptop.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to blame distribution defaults, because I understood that defaults are the thing which makes sense for everyone, but I just wanted to show some really easy tricks how to make your situation easier. So, but yeah, you're right that making postfix on demand will be it should be easy, I would say.
Actually, I'm surprised that we don't start listening on port 25. We should always do that, because that's the standard way to inject mails into the system. And in any case, so if you do that, then we could also use the systemd facilities to start services on demand as soon as there's a connection to port 25. And
then you get a big problem if someone says fire water. Anyway, you can just
yeah.
My point is that everyone who's interested in booting fast is disabling stuff without even thinking why it's on, while everyone who puts it on thinks about one simple use case that can be handled differently. But in general, the distribution won't get better or won't boot faster or take less resources. Whatever you want to name the benefit is not getting it, because these one-off effects only work for one specific hardware, because our installation already has hooks to make specific problems solved differently, like init, the run level decision, network for laptops, installation parts. The splashy is another case where just someone has to port it to Plymouth, and then you have one less package in RD, but that's all these things that won't work if only one-off efforts are done. That's all I want to say. Yeah.
Are you running it now on your laptop?
Yep.
So can we see a reboot?
I think. Well, I have no. Well, I can show my laptop, but it's really small, so I have no idea What will you?
Oh, this one.
Where is
This one. That has a really slow SSD.
Yep.
This is good. This one for showing.
So okay.
Why these size like that? It's 50 megabytes.
Okay, I think it's easier to show it to you. So just feel free to open it. Yeah. Because if I will show it from the front lines, you won't to see anything. I think at the moment the grab delay is more longer than the rest of the boot. Because I was so lazy to fix that.
That's another.
That's my.
That's another issue. No, because every other distribution has hidden grub menus. Because usually, if you reboot, you don't want to select the operating system. Just reboot what was rebooted last. But we still haven't done that because, yeah, no one is daring to change something. And why? Because no one is daring to change something, we get all the crappy defaults we had in the last 10 years.
So, how it ends? 3 seconds. Okay, if you compare the delay of group, it should be 8 seconds, but I was so lazy to change that setting.
Yeah, how often did you reboot before you put the numbers into the talk?
Sorry?
How often did you reboot before you were satisfied with the numbers to put them
well,
into talk?
the problem with this laptop is it has 4 gigabytes SSD disk, so it's really small. I don't have any swap partition, so I cannot hibernate it, and its battery is very crappy. So it tends to run out of battery very fast. So I really have to start it, let's say, every day or something.
That wasn't my question.
Yeah.
When we did work with boot chart on rotating disks, the rotating disks were so, and because of the concurrency of the booting, the results differed a lot from like 20 seconds to 40 seconds from without doing any changes, just one reboot. And the question I have is, how often do you reboot after a change so that you know that it affects the
You mean when I did the change? Well, from the beginning I tried to do, I think, 3 reboots, but I didn't find any regression. So I just stopped to take care about regressions. I don't know if that's connected to SSHD, but it can be, even if that is really old and slow. But yeah, from the beginning I tried to do several reboots, but I didn't have any big differences. What was scary, for instance, when I have my LAN cable connected, I get a notable slowdown on every boot. When the boot was in a few seconds, it was really notable that even just cable is plugged in, it slows your boot from about a few milliseconds. So
you learn a lot about hardware when you do this stuff like that, because the network driver then has to sync to the cable, and then that is the kernel is waiting for that, stuff like that.
Yeah, that was the.
But if you want to fix that, you really end up in the kernel to do stuff like. If you want to fix stuff like that, you really end in kernel code, having logs there, and the kernel guy are after such things because there are machines with tons of network devices there where you wait for each of them. But it's not.
Yeah, it wasn't a case of my laptop because it's usually offline, as I said. So a typical use case is it's not connected to any network. So I use it mostly as ebook reader or something like that. So I didn't boot it with network. Yep, next question.
Is it better? Yes. So I have 2 comments. First one, perhaps some services like network time protocol daemon could be started after the graphical interface. after the X are started, so let the user work with the machine and then continue the boot. I believe it could work even for servers.
From my special setup, it can be started when network appears. So, or it can be, for instance, delayed. There is something called Network Manager Wake Online. So it just not needs to be enabled on the normal run level. So it can be postponed.
Yeah, and my other comment may be more, did someone work on the shutdown time? So how fast is your shutdown? Because
well, basically it should be fast because systemd just kills things in the reverse order when they were started. I think it has no.
Is it fast?
I have no idea. Okay. So just please turn it off and we'll see. But I think it should be fast. Just turn it. Don't worry about it.
It's like in a sub-second.
Even there, the less you start, the less you...
Yeah. I think that's the biggest reason. I just start really few services and most of them just are killed and don't need to save any state or something like that. But yeah, that's true. And I think systemd don't have anything for the stop sequence. Any special tool like systemd analyze stop time or something. So anything else? Oh, okay. Thank you and have a nice rest of the conference. If you will join the labs track, or I hope that conference, okay, I don't know how to, yeah.